Erik Ten Hag is under pressure after underwhelming performances, which INEOS are prioritising over results. Man United will be at the front of the queue for a player they missed out on in the summer. The long-awaited return of Malacia could be close as United's Europa League squad is announced, and INEOS are continuing to build an elite team of best-in-class. This plus all the latest news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, please smash a like on the video and let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off with the Erik Ten Hag news. So this came from Jamie Jackson. Now, Jamie Jackson is a very credible source when it comes to United. Seems to have inside connections within the club. So he was saying in an article he did yesterday that Ten Hag's job is at risk unless the game model impresses underwhelming Manchester United bosses. That was the headline. Erik Ten Hag's game model has to start impressing Manchester United's INEOS-led football department, or he is in danger of being removed, with the manager's style of play so far this season viewed as underwhelming. And then in the article, he also went on to say there is a recognition inside the club that Ten Hag has been undermined by injuries and needs time to integrate his 5 summer signings, but also serious concerns regarding how he sets up the side. Ten Hag, who signed a contract extension in the summer after United considered other candidates, has to show his team can dominate games and opponents. So that was what Jamie Jackson had to say regarding it. So effectively, what Jamie Jackson, according to that report, INEOS are prioritizing the style of play above the results, and that's what they want to see on the pitch going forward. If you remember back to the FA Cup final, right, there was obviously a lot of noise around Erik Ten Hag losing his job, and I remember Romano coming out saying that it's not necessarily about the result of the FA Cup final, because a lot of fans and everyone was saying, well, it's unfair to judge of Erik Ten Hag's job to be decided based on one cup game against Man City, because the odds were that Man City were going to win that game. But Romano was saying that it's not about the result, it's about the performance. And then obviously we've had these reports coming from Jamie Jackson, and I've got more. There's more, another kind of credible source that's kind of confirmed this story as well, which I'll go through in a second. Effectively saying that it's the style of play that United are looking for this season, not necessarily the results. Yes, the results are obviously important, but if we lost to Liverpool 3-0, but INEOS had seen the style of play that they want to implement at United, then I don't think he would be under as much pressure. But apparently, according to the reports and what I've been kind of looking into, apparently INEOS want to build a game model, which is a style of play, basically, that they want to see, and they want to that's their foundation for what they want with United going forward. If you remember, I brought you comments the other day from Omar Barada, who said, we don't just want to build a team to win a Premier League. We want to build a team to win Premier League, Champions League, fight for all the domestic cups, and have that kind of consistency, exactly what they've got going on at City. I mean, Arsenal haven't won the Premier League, but they're in a consistent position now where they're playing, good football, always competing for the top kind of trophies. I know they haven't won any for a while, but they're in that kind of position. Liverpool, the same. They've built a kind of game model and a style of play. So if a manager goes, Arne Slot can come in, and yes, he's tweaked it a little bit, but he hasn't got to totally rip up the system and start again from scratch, which is what all United managers previously have had to do. And INEOS see that as the foundation in which they want to build on. So there might be scenarios this season where we see a style of play. We might still lose games, but as long as INEOS are seeing that development on the pitch, and they're and Ten Hag and the team are implementing what they want or their kind of vision, then that's the most important thing for INEOS at the moment, which is really interesting because like when you do take a step back, and obviously I'm a fan, you're a fan if you're watching this channel, I'm assuming, it's really difficult to it'll be difficult to get your head around that, because obviously we want to win every game, and we've got an attitude, or I have anyway, of a win at all cost. But apparently INEOS are not really bothered about necessarily the results, although obviously the results are important, and ideally you'd want both, but we're not in that position yet. But they're kind of prioritizing the style of play. They want to see a specific style of play. And that's been kind of known a little bit since they came in, when we were talking about getting Dan Ashworth and Omar Barada and Jason Wilcox. The kind of mantra, or the talk around that time was that INEOS want to set the vision of the club, and then they're going to recruit the manager to play that style of play, recruit the players to play that specific style of play as well. And it was all going to be coming from the top. So effectively, it's coming from Omar Barada, and then he's feeding it down to Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox. They're feeding it into the manager, and so on and so forth, like a chain down. But ultimately, they have like some sort of vision of how they want to play. And apparently, according to those reports, they're not happy with that style of play. And then again, when you think about it, I think Fulham, we did quite well, even though it was only a 1-0 result, but we did dominate a lot in that game. We were playing, pretty nice football in their third as well, created quite a few chances as well. No, we didn't score them, but apparently that was the type of performance that they were looking for. Brighton, we went a step backwards because, yes, we started in the first half. I thought we played some nice stuff, but second half it became a basketball game, which isn't what INEOS want. That's not the style of football that they want. And then Liverpool, we just reverted back to type last season. So apparently that's why why Ten Hag is going to be under more pressure, not just because of losing to Liverpool, but it was the fact that he couldn't implement their style of play. And I'll go through this one. So the Muppeteers, who are really, really credible when it comes to United again. So two really good credible sources saying the same thing, confirming that what Jamie Jackson said was totally correct, that INEOS are looking for more of a style of play than they are necessarily the results. And he also confirmed that Ten Hag's pressure because of the game model, not individual results, which is what I've just mentioned there. He did also say that anyone trying to paint a narrative that Ten Hag is being forced to play certain players is talking out of their ass. So while INEOS are directing the style of play that they want to see, Erik Ten Hag still has free reign to choose like the formation and the tactics and the players, because that's not what INEOS are doing. They're not kind of being dictators where they're saying, okay, well, you need to play this player in this position, this player in that position. They're giving him the tools to play the way that they want to play, and they're expecting to see that on the pitch, which I found really interesting because, the kind of fact of it is what they're wanting to do is that's the foundation. If you have a style of play and then you can develop from there, it just makes it easier for recruitment, in my opinion, because if you're like, okay, well, we want to play this way, this player's not particularly good at it, can we move them on and get a replacement in, rather than, well, if you're going from week to week playing, this week we're going to play long ball football, or this week we're going to park the bus and play counter-attacking football, this week we're going to play through the lines. Do you know what I mean? If you're constantly switching your play style around, how do you know which players are going to fit that particular system and that formation? Well, you don't, because you're not playing a specific system and formation every week. So it helps with that. It also helps if obviously the manager does get removed, you can recruit somebody in that is able to implement that style of play. So all the pressure on Ten Hag at the moment seems to be not just because of the results, but more performance-based. And that's what they're saying. So going forward, they want to see their vision, whatever that is, implemented on the pitch. And if Ten Hag is not the man to do that, whether it's because of his I don't know, because he can't motivate the players to do it, or because he just doesn't want to implement it, or he can't implement it, then that's why they're going to remove Ten Hag, not just because of the results, but more because they want somebody that can implement their vision going forward. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. I'm actually, when you take your, I actually think that's the right way to go, because for far too long we've jumped from different ideas to different managers to different philosophies, and it's not sustainable. It's the reason why we struggle so much and why we've wasted so much money in the past as well, because we've always jumped from polar opposites. And sometimes Van Gaal was a very possession-based manager, to Mourinho, who was a park the bus counter-attacking manager, to then Ollie, who he developed it. I actually think he developed it a little bit more, but then in his second season he decided to try and play a little bit more football. That didn't suit him, or it didn't suit the team as well. Obviously he went to Ralph Rangnick, who's more of a pressing, attacking football manager. I know he's only there as an interim basis, and then to Ten Hag, who's again totally different to that as well. So it's a good business model, in my opinion, if you get that foundation right. So if we do get a specific style of play, which a lot of fans, myself included, have all been crying out for, then that's a positive foundation to build from, in my opinion, because at least you've got the basics. And then if the players are not good enough to play that style of play, they'll get moved on, and replacements will come in that can do that specific job, which is the right approach, in my opinion. But let me know yours in the comments. Now, INEOS have also continued their kind of development, recruiting the best in class as well. So Mike Keegan from the Daily Mail has said Manchester United have appointed Sam Erith as their new performance director until the end of the season. Sam Erith will take up his post on Monday after being targeted by Dan Ashworth, to whom he will report. He is considered one of the best in the business and has worked with England, Manchester City, and Tottenham. Dan Ashworth targeted Erith, who will start his new role on an interim basis on Monday. The new man is likely to be tasked with ensuring manager Erik Ten Hag and his players are provided with an elite environment in which to challenge. So he's apparently very experienced in performance health and sports science, and it's part of an attempt to by INEOS and the regime and everyone to ensure that they have the cutting edge of football across all advances in technology. That's the posh words from the article. I'm all for it. Isn't it mad, actually? I was thinking this the other day, right? We've recruited, Jason Wilcox, technical director, Dan Ashworth, sporting director, Vivel's come in as a recruit for the recruitment. You've got obviously Erith coming in now is going to be sports science kind of based, and like all of these positions, there's about 5 or 6 key positions that we've brought in. And beforehand, we really had Arnold Murta and Matt Judge doing all of those, so effectively 3 bankers doing 6 elite footballing experts' job, and you wonder why we failed in the past. Absolute madness, isn't it? But he's not the only one as well, so Manchester United are exploring adding another lead recruitment expert in the coming months, particularly with Deputy Football Andy O'Boyle set to leave. Obviously, I brought you that news the other day as well. But for me, again, just more positivity around bringing in best in class, setting up the team, the manager, and everybody for success. And that was, again, one of INEOS's thing is one of the reasons why they kept Ten Hag is because they said that they felt that the structure around a manager hasn't set them up to fail. I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe said himself, didn't he, in an interview? He was saying about we've had good managers in the past, but they've all failed. So you have to look at the reasons why that is. And they've obviously gone down the route of decided, well, it's because the manager doesn't have any support. We don't have elite football people in charge of elite kind of jobs. And it's just all, like I said, it's just been bankers worrying about the top line and worrying about bonuses and shareholders and stuff, rather than actually what's going on the pitch. And in a total kind of 180, we've now got people that are concentrating on what's going on the pitch and setting up the team and the manager and everyone for success. And I'm all for it. Hopefully we'll see that. Obviously, it's going to take time. No one's got a magic wand. So Jim himself said it's not a light switch. No one could just come in and flip it and then all of a sudden we're really good. But it's just, it's just another kind of sign that they are looking to get the best people around. And that can that can only be a positive going forward, because if you've got proper people in proper places, then hopefully we can start getting proper performances and proper results. That's what I think. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And then this came out yesterday. Absolutely, very, how can I say, shocking, some of these. So Manchester United's wage bill for the 24-25 season has been revealed. Have a look at that. That is ridiculous. Casemiro, £375,000 a week. Like, that's ridiculous. I mean, Bruno Fernandes, exactly the same. I know some of you in the comments are going to criticize that. I mean, I do think it's extortionate and ridiculous, but I blame the person that gave Casemiro that contract, not necessarily Bruno, because Bruno's in a position where he's like, well, hold on, I'm the best player, I'm the captain. Why is everyone else getting more money than me? And then what do? You either let him go because his contract's out soon, or you have to kind of bow down to that kind of pressure. And I don't think we're in a position where we can afford to lose Bruno Fernandes at the moment. With everything else going on, I think they will look to replace him, obviously, in the next year or two. But, so I blame the Egypt that gave Casemiro $375,000 a week. That's ridiculous. Anthony, $200,000 a week. Mason Mount, $250,000 a week. So, and then Rashford, $350,000 a week. And out of all of those, so our top 5 earners, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, Mount, and Anthony, it's only really Bruno that's any good, like, or been consistent or doing anything really on the pitch. Mount's been injured. Anthony's terrible. Casemiro's form for the last 16 months has been absolutely terrible as well, and Rashford's disappeared. His form and his performances as well, and it's only really Bruno. And against Liverpool, he was missing as well. So I hope that's not a sign of things to come. But that's shocking, isn't it? And it's shocking that our top 5 earners, there's only one that you could argue, has been consistent over the last few years. And I know some of you will disagree with that in the comments as well. So that's just my opinion. That's not probably widely popular. I wouldn't have thought. Isn't it crazy? And then some of the other ones as well, like Kobe Mainu, 20 grand a week, do you know what I mean? And he's absolutely bossing it. Obviously, there is reports he's going to get a new contract soon, so I'd imagine that one to go up. But Christian Eriksen, Lindelof, it's absolutely mad, isn't it? Absolutely crazy. I worked it out right. So if you think if I keep that on there for a second, if you think next season, right, I think there's 5 players on there. There's probably more that will have question marks around them, but I suspect United are going to want to get rid of Casemiro. I suspect that Anthony will go if we can. Maguire's out of contract, Eriksen's out of contract, and Lindelof will be out of contract as well, right? So with those 5 players, it's over £1 million a week in wages, which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And then that's not even, question marks around Rashford. If he doesn't perform this season, I think INEOS will look to move him on. Same with Mason Mount. I think they'll look to move him on as well, because you've got to remember Omar Barada had this, and everyone in charge have this kind of two-year thing where if you don't perform within 2 years, we're going to look to move you on, because that's plenty of time for you to find form and find your feet and settle in and develop and all of that stuff. Absolutely crazy. But, again, I don't necessarily blame, like the highest player earning one that we've actually signed is Mateus De Ligt on 195 grand a week. But remember, he took a pay cut to come to United as well. So I think that's going to be hopefully the barometer going forward, where we're not going to keep paying these ridiculous wages. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. And then we'll quickly go through the rest of the news. So again, this came out from the Daily Mail, saying that Manchester United were so eager to sign Michael Olise that they were ready to enlist the help of Sir Alex Ferguson and help persuade the winger to join. Olise was set on Bayern, but United will be at the front of the queue if he decides to move in the future. And that was one, wasn't it, that really got away in the summer. I do think INEOS really wanted Olise, but the stars didn't align. I think in order to get Olise, we had to have got rid of Greenwood, Sancho, and probably Anthony to create the space in the squad. Obviously, we didn't get rid of Greenwood quick enough. Sancho went on deadline day, and Anthony's still in the squad. And as I've just shown you, there's 200,000 reasons why he's still at Man United. But he would be obviously a player of interest going forward, but it's unlikely he's going to leave Bayern anytime soon. But then I said that, but then they sold De Ligt within 2 years of signing him, didn't they? So you just never know. But yeah, Olise, the one that got away in the summer, which is unfortunate. And then Tyrell Malacia has been included in United's 25-man squad for this season's Europa League. So does that suggest that he's potentially going to be coming back in the next few weeks? Or have they just put him in as a precaution just in case? I mean, there's no indication that he is coming back, but it would be nice. I seen a thing yesterday, and apparently he hasn't played since May 2023, which is ridiculous, isn't it? That's a ridiculous amount of time to be out for a footballer. It must have been some real unfortunate events for Malacia coming back. So being out for that length of time, but it'd be nice just for himself to come back, as I was worried actually at one point that he might have to retire being out that long. It's very rare. I don't even think I've seen a player be out that long before. So yeah, be interesting to see him come back. The full squad list, I'll put it on the screen. You might have already seen it by now. The notable ones for me, Yoro's also included in the list, so that might be a hint that he could be back from injury soon. Obviously, Malacia, Harry Amas, nice to see his name on there as well from the youth team. And then just the usual suspects, really. There's ones on there that are missing. So Garnacho, Mainu, and Ethan Wheatley have been included in the squad list as well. But because they're under 21 and they're from the youth and they've been at the United youth, I think, for more than 3 years, they don't have to be registered on this list. Whereas Amas was signed within that kind of period. So that's why he's on there and the others aren't. But it's the usual suspects on there. The main ones that kind of caught me off guard a little bit was Malacia, Yoro, and yeah, because it's nice to see that hopefully they might be coming back from injury soon. But that is you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Don't forget to leave a comment below. I do enjoy reading them. Smash a like on the video on your way up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will see you in the next one.